Have you ever considered about getting into bodybuilding, but just might not know where to start? I'm Krystle from Krystle Creations. You can follow me at Krystle_creations on all social platforms. From picking your suit to picking the right association. Should you have a coach? Should you not have a posing coach? Should you have a prep coach? Your post-show rebound, because that is something that's going to happen. You're going to take off a whole bunch of weight, then you're going to want to binge eat, and all of it is going to come back and your hormones are going to be everywhere. Should you be natural? Should you be taking steroids? What happens when you get a pro card? So you've decided to do your very first bodybuilding competition show. Well, welcome to the madness. Now, why do I say that? Well, if you type Google bodybuilding shows or bodybuilding competitions, you're gonna find a lot, and I mean a lot of information when it comes to suits, when it comes to shows, associations, and everything can be very, very confusing or overwhelming, and it can be very hard to know where to start off if you're completely new. Here are my top 10 novice mistakes I wish I would have known when I was a competitor prior to becoming a seamstress. And on that beautiful side note, if you are looking for a competition suit, whether it is for men or women of all categories or associations, check out KrystleCreations.com, where you can find all your suits, accessories, and shoes for your competition needs. Now, there's a lot of information you're gonna have to know before you step on stage. And here are a little bit of a guideline of things you should research prior to actually getting everything ready to really get a grip and understanding at what your prep journey is going to be like. The first thing you're gonna have to look up is the association. Now, picking the right association can be a little bit confusing because if you type bodybuilding associations, you're going to find a list, and I mean a butt list of different associations, some that are for natural athletes, some that are tested, some that are not tested, and it really comes down to also what country you're in. That varies your qualifications to get started. The second thing you're gonna have to pick is a suit. Now, once you know what association you're with, then you'll get an idea at what suits can be qualified or not qualified. And knowing what suit to get can become a very, very costly mistake. If you buy something pre-made, then you get on show day and you're not even allowed to get on stage because it's covering too much, or it's not covering enough, or it's not the right style, or maybe it's not the right colors that you're permitted, and that can turn into a real disaster backstage. Now, with picking your suit is going to come what category is best for your body. Once you know what association you're competing with, it's going to make it a little bit easier for you to know what category to pick according to your body frame. Now, with your frame and with your body lines, it's really going to play on whether you're going to place well at the show or maybe not so good.
I like saying no. It lowers their enthusiasm.
It's very, very important to understand the differences in the body, different shapes, to make sure that this process and your prep and your competing is going to be the most enjoyable as possible. Now, from your suit to the association to your shows to picking your shows, all of that is going to cost a lot of money. Okay? I am not kidding. This sport is very, very expensive. Now, that doesn't mean that you're gonna go broke, but if you aren't wise with your money, then later on you realize that maybe you could have done yourself at home. A little bit of DIY can go a very long way to still look absolutely fabulous on stage without breaking the bank and having to ask a loan or maxing out your credit cards.
Did somebody mention art?
I hope that's not their song. If that's their song, that sucks.
Then from a prep coach to no coach. Is that even necessary? Do you understand your body enough to do it on your own? And that's going to make or break your prep. And when I mean your prep, I mean literally your preparation to step on stage. If you're a very hands-off person and you like having a drill sergeant and you have no idea, and I mean no idea what competing is like because you never have had anyone who has competed before, you've never went to a show, then maybe getting a prep coach would be a good start. Posing is one aspect of competing that can make or break the way you place on stage. Now, you do have to think about what are the best angles for your body, work on the areas that need more work, and making sure that you are showing your best physique every time. Keep in mind that the judges are seeing you from angles that you can't necessarily see yourself. So, if you're not very knowledgeable in your own body and knowing your composition properly, hiring a coach is probably something you'd want to consider. One key point, make sure you're taking progress photos every time you pose. And when you're doing your progress photos, I'd recommend wearing at least the same outfit every time, whether it is your go-to posing suit or whether it is the same outfit, just for you to also be able to compare a little easier your conditioning as you're going down your prep and making sure that you are perfecting the proportions, the physiques, and the mandatory poses for the association and your class. Steroids. Yeah, I said the word.
I got something that'll get him going.
Now, steroids is something that can be used during your prep. No, you don't have to use steroids to do well. And actually, some associations are completely banning it altogether, and you can get pushed out of the association and not allowed to compete for 10 years. That's how serious it can get.
They put you in jail right away. No trial, no nothing. That's
actually going to be a personal decision that you're going to have to take on whether it is right for you or whether you don't want to touch it. Now, I'm not saying I am an advocate for steroids. That is not what I am saying at all. But it is one of those things that you will come around the deeper and deeper you go down the rabbit hole of bodybuilding. Some coaches will say, you need it, it's going to help you with your recovery, it's going to help you put on a little gains, but you should never, ever, ever rely on just steroids for you to get a medal, nor does that mean that you are going to win overall and get your pro card and be absolutely amazing. Being natural, you can do very well in the sport, and just because you're on steroids, well, not everyone looks great on steroids to start with, and that is something you have to think about and pick for yourself and see what is the best option for you. So you've done your first show and you've competed and you get your wonderful golden ticket, the pro card. Now, what exactly does the pro card actually mean? And where does that take you? Are you just competing and just these shows getting more and more expensive? The pro card is basically a certificate or the diploma, let's just say, when you are moving up from the amateur level to the pro level. It is almost like that certificate that you present to other companies to show them that you are dedicated to the sport, just as these companies are. So if you are approaching a supplement company, having a pro card is that stepping stone to show, hey, I am dedicated to the sport and I would be dedicated to you and your team. Now, keeping that in mind, just because you are a pro, it does not mean that you are going to get every single sponsorship, that you are going to make money, because that is something you have to do and put in work to approach different companies. But always keep in mind that when you are competing, sometimes these shows might get a little bit more costly and you do have to put a bit more work. You have to treat this like the professional that you are calling yourself. You would not see a professional Olympic athlete taking it lightly and stepping on stage with results. Always bring your A game. Always make sure you're doing your best to make sure that you are showing what a true pro looks like. Whether you're a complete noob to bodybuilding or an avid competitor, the why you are competing is the most important part when it comes to figuring out whether bodybuilding is even right for you. Now, if you're expecting bodybuilding to just be a walk in the park, maybe it's just getting lean with abs, well, you have another thing coming to you. Bodybuilding is not just a very physically demanding sport, but it does require a lot of dedication, both physically, mentally, and it will start to take priority in other aspects of your life. You have to be very, very good at time management. So if putting in the extra work is not something you want to do, and working out twice a day and doing lots of cardio is not something that you want to even think about, well, maybe you should reconsider why you're competing in bodybuilding in the first place. Bodybuilding could be a great way for you to get into the industry if the fitness industry is something you want to get into. It is a stepping stone for you to create connections with other people within the industry. A little bit of a touchy subject would be the post-show rebound. This is something that you might not hear too often if you're following certain Instagram fitness gurus online, but it is something very normal that's going to happen the first time you step on stage. That being said, if you were to gain 5 to 10 pounds post-show, maybe within the first 2 to 4 weeks, that is something normal as your body is slowly adapting to the increase in calories. That being said, you have to be very careful because if you are doing multiple shows within one season, you don't want to put on too much weight, rebound, and then have a very difficult time shedding that extra weight off. Make sure to take care of your body, drink lots of water, eat your greens, and do your work. Did you enjoy this video? Maybe you learned something new. If you did, like, share, and subscribe, and come back next week when we talk about associations, which ones are natural, which ones are tested, and everything you need to know to make your search for the right association for you a little easier. Well, that's all for now. Bye!